Did you see the moon last night? And what has this moon got to do with what I'm about to say to you? Well, listen up, because this is a phenomenal opportunity that I really wanted to share with you all, as we are in a weekend of tremendous transformation. The full moon peaks on Monday, and this is basically the end of what the Black Friday deals are. I've called it Pink Friday, but essentially I wanted you to get the magnitude of what's going on, because last night, where I live in Peacehaven, there was this huge corona around the moon. Now that's like a big sphere of compassion, which is just like the co-creation meditations that I offer as my world service. And if you haven't checked the latest one out yet, head over to YouTube, Rosie Glow YouTube. There is the preamble to the co-creation, and if you look in the text box, there'll be a link to the audio for the co-creation meditation, because you know it was so powerful that we ended up being thrown off Zoom, or I did, even though I was plugged in. That's a whole other story. But you can access it. I just need to know who's accessing it so I can be tuned into your energy. Now to this weekend and what's going on. Well, with this full moon energy, we're really being invited to take the highest path. Gemini energy, which voice are we going to feed? Well, it's the voice that we feed the most that's the one that we're going to energize in our lives. You may have heard perception is reality, and I truly live by this. If you're aware of Bruce Lipton's work, you'll know that he says that the cell membrane is actually the brain of the cell, not the nucleus, as we were all taught at school. And yesterday you could see very, very clearly the cell membrane and the nucleus. Interesting thing is, the cell membrane perceives the environment. Is it threatening? Isn't it threatening? And then it passes information to the nucleus in terms of what genes to express according to the environmental conditions. Now, this is where we get to have a whole new look at what hereditary means, whole new look at what intergenerational trauma means and how it's actually passed on, how our perception affects our physiology. And that's exactly why I'm offering you this phenomenal, magnanimous offer over this weekend. And today is the last day. I've decided to extend it to Monday night because we have the full moon, but essentially you've got two options. You've got a fast track personal fulfillment option, which I'll explain in a moment, and you've also got a divine navigation call option. And here's the deal. I have been for years working with a beautiful course that I've been teaching and training other coaches in called Fearless, Loved Up and Limitless. It is the subconscious upgrade from fear matrix to divine matrix. It's how we clear our cellular memory, the bloodline memory from our ancestors that is affecting our perception all the time and blocking our soul consciousness from leading the way. Every one of us has a subconscious allegiance to our bloodline conditioning, whether it's healthy or not. And that's the most frustrating thing, is when you know that carrying on a belief that you've inherited is not helpful to you, but you still do it anyway. And that's just there. It's the inner child aspect of us that is incredibly loyal to Mother, Father, Divine. And we take our mum and dad as the physical, biological, and those that adopted us and step parents as our connection to the divine. So, those of you who've been through the process of Fearless will know that we have a very important time, the formative years, our time from conception through to the first 7 years of life, which is when we're highly programmable. And most teachers, most people out there are really teaching from birth through to 7 years. Now, I've spent many, many years in the conception, fertility, pregnancy and birth world, and I know how significant this time is in terms of how we're wired to survive or thrive, whether we end up with nervous system issues, digestive issues, whatever, cardiovascular issues. Like, there's so much that's set up from our time in the womb. But the key thing is this: it's our perception of whether life is safe or not, and also the beliefs that we take on, whether they're inherited or we create them ourselves from our experience of the time in the womb, from the experience of our birth, and the immediate postpartum period, immediately after we're born. Were we separated from mum? Were we separated from dad? Did we have trouble feeding? Were we cold? Were we in pain? Did we need resus? There's all sorts of stuff that has an impact on how we deal with challenge in our lives today as adults. And this is what I'm inviting you into, an opportunity to go so far back to actually deal with your preconception, conception, pregnancy, birth and immediate postpartum influences, because these are the ones that trip you up the most. And when you actually know what those beliefs are, what those assumptions about life are, every time you extend yourself beyond what you know, and you know you're going to encounter your resistance, you know exactly how to deal with these parts of you, to override that conditioning with the new statements that we create for you, with the new mindset, the new perception that we can only create when we know what we're dealing with from the old. Now, I've never really offered this in any way as a one-to-one, one-off session. I've always said, right, it's 6.6K for a minimum month contained with me to go through this in a deep way. But recently I've been playing around with this as my energy's been shifting, and I've spent years working long term with people. I see the value of that. But recently I've been guided to offer short, sharp, intensive with those of you who are ready to jump in, have a big breakthrough, see yourself actually moving beyond an issue you've had this far, and therefore feeling more confident to invest longer term. The kind of feedback I've got from my retreats, from the one-off sessions I've done, has taught me that it's really important to start somewhere, and the kind of shifts people can have are literally life-changing. So this is your life-changing moment. I am inviting you to have a session, a 2-session fast track with me if you would like to have the biggest breakthrough you possibly can in the shortest amount of time. And that really is for you to be able to deal with this pre-birth influences through a questionnaire, and then a first session with me where we really dialogue with these aspects of your being, and we create new presumptions, new assumptions, new beliefs around the old ones. And then you have 2 weeks in between that session and the second session where you have Telegram support from me to be able to process the information that's coming up, to be able to gain clarity over the shifts that are going on internally and in your environment. And I will give you specific meditations to work with. There's a whole process I take you through. Then we get to the second session, which is the divine navigation session, and this is when we get communication directly from your soul to support you, bringing forward the version of you, your highest self, who's already living what you want. They come in to guide you to take the necessary steps, to be really clear what steps you need to take, the order you need to take them to get from where you are to where you want to be. Now, for me to normally offer the pre-birth influences and the divine navigation together, it would be a minimum of 4.5k a month. But I've decided to offer this as a 2-week fast track. And in this 2-week fast track, I have totally brought this down to £1,212. So you're getting access to me in a one-to-one capacity in a way that I've never ever offered before. And I've got 4 spaces left. Okay, so when they're gone, they're gone. You get access to these 2 sessions that are utterly life-changing. They'll prime you for Fearless or for other one-to-one work with me if you'd like to do more work with me. They'll give you a real sense of what is possible as you connect to this part of you. And they are available now, today, until midnight on Monday. Okay, so you've got another 24 hours and a bit to say yes to this. Follow the link. So if you're on TikTok, you'll need to go to IG and look at the link tree in my bio. Go to my link tree, you'll see that there is a personal fulfillment fast track. And if, 1212 is just too much for you right now, the divine navigation call on itself is not to be overlooked. The breakthroughs that come from that are phenomenal. And I've slashed that down from 555 to 333, so you can have a breakthrough today. Please don't delay, beautiful ones. These are magic, potent bullets. Okay, they will get you well on your way and give you a real sense of what is possible and really help you make the most of these energies, because we're all being called to our highest timeline. It is time for peace on this planet. It is time for every one of us to feel personally fulfilled. And this is my invitation to you. So if you've got any questions, feel free to DM me. Please just follow the link in the IG or follow the link on my socials, and you will see there all that is needed to be able to sign up. And I'll look forward to working with you. So much love. Please share this with someone that you know will benefit.